Hey there, welcome to the National Post Speakeasy. I'm Marie Danielle Smith, and this is my colleague Brian Platt. We're here at the Metropolitan in Ottawa. Brian, you've been covering the Canada summer jobs controversy since the very beginning. We've got some court cases heating up now, but bring us back to the start of this whole issue, and why are people screaming about this?
Yeah, so this started about a full year ago now, last spring, when the government was getting ready to hand out summer jobs grants last year. The pro-choice organization pointed out that a bunch of the grants were going to pro-life groups who seemed to spend a bunch of their time protesting abortion clinics. And Employment Minister Patty Hajdu's office said, well, this is an oversight, we're going to fix this. And we found out what that fix was going to be in December. It was an attestation that said organizations must attest that the job and the organization's core mandate respect reproductive rights. This was a little bit vague and confusing, but a lot of groups, not just pro-life groups, immediately felt this was a violation of their right to freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of conscience. And so they got very upset about this and protested in various ways.
So this kind of turned from the Liberals trying to impose their own values and policies on this grant program into a wider issue about freedom of speech.
Yeah, so the question here, what the government argues is we are simply setting our funding priorities in support of our public positions in favor of women's rights, in favor of gender equality, and this is just one part of that. And previous governments have definitely done this. Stephen Harper's Conservatives did it. Would fund programs that are in line with what their government wants to set as a priority. But the problem here is the attestation and whether this is a constitutional way to go about it. The BC Civil Liberties Association is looking to join one of these court cases and says, we're fine with a government funding its priorities. What you can't have is an attestation that says we attest to our core mandate, and what that phrase core mandate even means is a little confusing for people, but you can't, that's an unconstitutional way to do it.
So a lot of groups, especially faith-based groups, didn't want to sign this attestation, and then some of them didn't end up getting government funding, it looks like.
Yeah, we think it looks like you can't tell 100% from the numbers, but it looks like about 1,500 organizations this year were rejected over not signing or writing in their own version of the attestation to say we can't sign these words, but we've got some different words that we are willing to sign. About 1,500 groups looks like they were rejected over the attestation, and so now we will almost certainly see, we've already got one court challenge that's been filed in Alberta, and there are probably more on the way. I know at least a group of Christian charities is looking to file their own charter challenge.
So this has been a real headache for the Liberal government since it began. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel for them on this issue, or is it going to keep dragging on through the court system?
Well, so it looks like now this is going to play out in the courts. Patty Hajdu, the minister, has said she is willing to look at this for next year. It's not clear how big a changes she's willing to consider, but it seems like they may do some tweaking or adjusting, but I suspect that this is really going to depend on what the courts decide. Obviously, if the government loses the court challenge, they could appeal, in which case this could drag out for a long time, or they could say, okay, let's substantially change this attestation.
So this could be an issue that follows the Liberals into the next election. We'll be watching. Thanks for joining us on the Speakeasy.